As 2024 rolls in, political temperatures, just like the previous year, is expected to heat up if Odinga makes good his threat to go back to the streets in protest of cost of living and quest to repeal the Finance Act 2023.
Tunasema mwaka mpya hii sheria ya kodi mpaka itolewe, ile finance bill mpaka itolewe. Asipotoa hiyo finance bill tutarudi kwenye uwanja.
His threats have already caused ripples within the Kenya Kwanza government.
Main opposition, particularly the main opposition led by Raila Odinga, has a lot of arsenal in terms of denting the current Kenya Kwanza government, because we have practically seen that the promises that the Kenya Kwanza government actually gave to majority of the youth in terms of employment, in terms of high cost of living, in terms of social security, in terms of access to medical health care, has not been achieved in almost 1.5 years since the Kenya Kwanza administration came to play.
The National Dialogue Committee that has seen the opposition split in half in terms of support is expected to be debated on the floor of the National Assembly this month in what could be a special sitting. While tabling the report at the floor of the House, Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah pointed to a possibility of recalling the House last December to debate the report. That, however, did not happen. The content of the report is expected to formulate debate for the better part of the year, with Kenya Kwanza and Azimio pulling on different parts on whether to go for a referendum or not. In April of this year, UDA, in a hotly contested exercise, is expected to put its house in order, and amid jitters, they are expected to hold grassroots elections in a make-or-break decision. The polls were set for December, but wrangles within the party saw the exercise postponed to April. ODM, on the other hand, will see the National Executive Committee meet to decide as to whether their grassroots elections will be held before the first quarter of the year, after several years without holding any election. Top of the agenda for 2024 is also the recruitment of IEBC commissioners, as the positions have remained vacant for a year, thus hindering operations at the electoral body. The IEBC is expected to conduct by-elections and boundaries delimitation exercise, operations that cannot be conducted without substantive office holders. The NADCO report and the consequent adoption and possible amendments to the NADCO reports holds the key to unlocking the recruitment deadlock. Azimio protested the selection panel appointed by President William Ruto, and the two sides have agreed to scrap the entire selection panel and adding 2 more members to the panel. Already, IEBC CEO Hussein Majan Hussein has moved to court, arguing that the delay in selecting IEBC commissioners has brought crisis to the electoral agency.
The reconstitution of IEBC, must be handled within the parliament. But the parliament, at the moment, the Kenya Kwanza has the majority. It basically means that the Kenya Kwanza has the privilege to elect all IEBC leaders. And what will that mean for the next 2027 national election? It means that even though those elections may appear to be fair, but the IEBC that is meant to perfect these electoral processes, as long as the Kenya Kwanza uses their majority in parliament to dictate who oversees the election, then we will see that in the next election, their people will not accept those results.
Another battle for confrontation is the proposed auditing of the election results and whether the servers that the opposition has been yearning to have open will be put on display and the methodology to be used. The 2027 succession politics within the opposition is also set to gain momentum. A fight started by Ukambani leaders allied to Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka have demanded that Azimio principal Raila Odinga and chairperson Uhuru Kenyatta back Kalonzo Musyoka for 2027.
In my considered view, the August 2027 presidential contest will be won or lost in 2024. We shall demonstrate in word and in deed to our leader, to our coalition, and indeed to the entire country, that His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is the right leader to take over and fix the mess deliberately created by the failed Kenya Kwanza administration and save this country.
Kalonzo, in a recent interview, has vowed that he will be on the ballot in 2027, or else he'd rather retire from politics, having backed Odinga 3 times. Odinga, on the other hand, with his recent party activities, is said to be building up for his 6th stab at the presidency, which could further raise jitters within the coalition that he is already reading from different scripts. Analysts opine that when the centre can no longer hold, Mount Kenya side, led by NARC Kenya's Martha Karua, will move away from Azimio.
The split that you see in Azimio is only apparent. It's not concrete, because Azimio is Raila Odinga. Without ODM and Raila Odinga's leadership, the other principles within Azimio cannot form an independent organization that can be able to negotiate for political power.
On the Kenya Kwanza side, the succession battle is expected to be minimal as President Ruto remains the sole candidate for 2027. But the person to deputize him will be a subject of discussion, especially after talks of possible rift that pits the second in command with Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and the President. Criticism over the caliber of persons appointed at different levels of government is expected to gain momentum, even as talks over cabinet reshuffle and possible firing seems to be in the offing. The president has in the past been critical of his cabinet, and owing to backlash over performance of his cabinet, is saying to be keen on government changes. Disquiet about the cost of living and unfulfilled promises from Kenya Kwanza government will set the trajectory. The Mount Kenya team from the Azimio side has already formed a faction under the Kamwene and are set to push their agenda of what they say is fighting for the interest of Mount Kenya. The activities are set to escalate into the new year as the battle for control of Mount Kenya heats up.
If you look at the moment, what options are available for Martha Karua within the Kenya Kwanza, they are very slim. In fact, none completely. They do not consider Martha Karua as any influential, even in her home guard, particularly in central Kenya. So we don't see Martha Karua's dissenting actually even worrying Raila Odinga. He's not worried about it. The second one is Kalonzo Musyoka that controls some part of the Eastern Bloc, which even Kenya Kwanza has been able to eat a bit of it. So you cannot say that the Kalonzo Musyoka has an ardent following like Raila Odinga.
On the other hand, Jubilee is set to continue with the quest to rejuvenate the party as it maintains former President Uhuru Kenyatta is still the kingpin of the region. This, however, is being contested by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and ex-Mungiki leader Maina Njenga, whose event to crown a Mount Kenya kingpin in Nyeri on 31st of December were thwarted. Maina Njenga has insisted the DP is fighting him in a bid to control the central region.
Maina Njenga almost lost it when he actually sold his advocacy to Kikuyu political leaders. So once it tries to rebuild itself, I know the Azimio may use him to try to destabilize the Kenya Kwanza in the region. But the person that will stand as a hero of the Mount Kenya is the person who will stand bold to address the issue, the socioeconomic issues that continue to affect the majority of the Kikuyu leaders.
2023 saw the Kenya Kwanza government take ex-President Uhuru Kenyatta head-on after the fallout in the Jubilee government. Kenya Kwanza has consistently blamed President Uhuru Kenyatta for what they said was running down the country. In his New Year's speech, President William Ruto lashed out at the opposition, claiming sabotage of his key policies through court actions. His allies have directly incriminated the former head of state in claims of sabotage and 2024 planned demos that is set to push through the new year.
Whenever this happens, ladies and gentlemen, their associates can attempt to hijack national institutions, turning them into anti-people weapons for a select privileged few and saboteurs of inclusive transformation for the majority.
Wewe umekuwa ukihadaa wa Kenya, unatoa pesa ya maandamano. Katika zile maneno yote ya makoti, you've been sponsoring even the court cases to derail the plan of our president and this government.
Among the cases to watch out are cases filed by ODM that slammed the brakes on the privatization plans, deployment of police officers to Haiti, as well as healthcare laws. Eyes will also be on the Finance Act 2023, whose section was termed unconstitutional by the courts, but the government was given a leeway to continue collection of housing levy for 45 days until it navigates its way properly. The move to introduce CASs once again in a bill to be tabled in Parliament is also expected to set tongues wagging in the political scene. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.